Good morning, and today's going to be pocket fives. This is a 25 NL game. We are in early position. We get a limper, and then it's on me. I don't think this is necessarily a strong enough hand to go ahead and raise. You can see EP2 versus EP1. That assumes EP1 is raising, so fives are not in there. If we go down to ISO raises, you could see that the always and the optional just it doesn't include fives. Again, small pocket pairs, we talked about them, just aren't that great in early position just because we've got so many people behind you, and if someone catches a pair on the flop, they're usually going to be ahead of your pocket pairs. So I folded. Small blind raised, ISO'd, and the limper calls. So let's figure out what these players have. We don't have a whole lot. We've got 22 hands, 20 hands or so. And I built up a range. I actually gave him a much wider range because he was 38, 29. We looked at, 75%, 3 out of 4 times he played in early position, 67% button. He could be getting just lucky on the hands that he's had. And this is going to be his first time limping. So that's rather interesting. We do have a hand note on him about a limp called with Jack 10 suited. I wouldn't be surprised if this is this hand, but that kind of narrows things down a bit. Because I initially had Jack 10 suited in like his raise first in range, and I revised that. So I kind of adjusted some of the scales and then started adding and taking off hands. I think if he's just limping with Jack 10, then he's probably going to be limping with some of these weaker hands as well, and definitely possibly limping with some of these offsuit connectors. Jack 10 suited was strong enough to raise in this spot. Not sure why he didn't, but I'm going to go with this range. It's either good range or it's not. This guy, I have 20% on him, or 20 hands on him. I don't know anything in terms of ranges or hand notes. We do have our own notes that says bet third barrel on river with air, just one time. So I'm going to assume he's going to have something strong if he's going to isolate here. We can do like blinds, ISO. Always ISO looks something like this. Optional ISO. I'm kind of at the stronger range. So we're just going to go with this. The flop comes out 10-6-4 with 2 hearts. All right, so we had 10-6-4, 10 of clubs, 6-4 hearts. That's not going to hit him probably at all. He bets half pot. I think in terms of the ranges that he's doing this with, I think overpairs probably betting. I think on this board also, I probably give him the flush draw, and probably his overcards like the ace king, ace queen is what I would imagine. I think the flush draw includes the ace king, ace queen of hearts. This guy calls. Again, if he's limping a lot, he's probably going to be calling with any pair. I'm going to assume that at this level, the sets are going to be raising. I think top pairs probably going to at least call, maybe raise. I think ace 10 could be, I think all of these could possibly be raises. Because you imagine that this board does not hit him at all. That's kind of what I'm thinking about. So I think I'm going to give him all pocket pairs. We're going to give him flush draw, open ender. We'll give him the gut shots as well. And I think we're going to go with that. So we got 54% calls or 55% calls. We got 100% C bet at that point. 8 of clubs comes out. He fires again at half pot. Same thing, overpair plus. And then I think you've got your flushes. And we have the river barrel with air. He could be now, I'm going to say flush draw. I think any ace king, ace queen that does not connect, so hearts or clubs, could possibly be checking at this point, because you're thinking that villain 7 has a pair. at least. If he calls here, definitely. Yep. All right, so he calls. So at this point, I'm going to assume he has a pair of some sort. So top pair, possibly middle pair or second pair. Again, we're kind of thinking ace king, ace queen is in the betting range. He's probably loose. We're going to give him those draws. So basically, he's going to likely call 100% at this point if he's calling with all of his pocket pairs, or with any pair at all. Now, the queen of spades does, I think, help this guy's range. It connects with that ace queen, so I can see him betting here. Right or wrong, I could see him betting here. So I think top pair plus is going to be betting. I think the other stuff could be checking. We do have the note that he could be betting with air, so we can include this ace high hand. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually our notes. I kind of think jacks might just check call. Well, no, he could probably bet for a little bit of value, because if you're putting on villain on tens, and then if he raises, he could possibly call. So now we get a call, and the question is, do we include 100% of his range here? I think it's straight. It's gonna be raising. I think a set's probably going to be raising. Two pair would have raised. Actually, let's go back to here. Yeah, I'm excluding. I think a set's going to be raising, straight's going to be raising, two pairs probably going to be raising here, so that we're going to narrow that range. And then you've got, yeah, the straight's going to be raising. I think the two pair could just be calling, maybe raise, but we're going to have top pair or weak pair probably is what he's calling. I think if he called this far with a weak pair, he's probably calling again. But geez, three streets, yeah, I don't know. I think middle pair, at least a 10, is going to call, maybe not the lower pair. So he bet with ace king. So I didn't have that offsuit ace king. Kind of goes back to here where he had to include the overcards, all of the ace king. And then, yeah, he's betting again. And then Jack 10, there's your top pair. So yeah, these were the hands that were in our notes. We kind of had an idea ahead of time. It's pretty good to have the information here on your notes, because I think with ace king, I think we could justify his bet here, his c bet, and then I think the turn bet, I'm giving him the hearts and the clubs. I think that makes sense. I don't think ace king offsuit, I would have expected him to bet that again. The 8 doesn't really change anything, doesn't really improve his hand at all. So it's just kind of a, why continue to bet type question. He did, but again, why would he do that? So I wouldn't really have expected him to call. The Jack 10, it's nice to know that he's not raising that pre-flop. So we can take some notes here. LFI, under the gun, and call 2.8 big blind ISO. Call small blinds 2.8 big blind ISO, raise in with Jack 10 diamonds. He is in position. Call 50%, call 50%, call 50%. On a 10 of club, 6 of hearts, 4 hearts, 8 of clubs, queen of spades. All right. Let's save that. We'll get him. ISO raise 2.8 big blind in small blind versus under the gun LFI with ace of hearts, king of diamonds. He is out of position. Bet 50%, bet 50%, bet 50%. All right, so we've got the range, or we have our hand note. So I don't like this guy's limp. He should be raising that first in. He raises, gets 3-bet. I think he's probably calling with Jack 10. He's representing a strong hand with this raise, so he represents an even stronger hand. So I think you can call this. I don't think you would four bet. I think you would call it, and then you flop top pair, and then I think it's he bets, you call. He bets again. I think you probably call because that 8 doesn't change anything. And at some point, you're going to probably on that turn decide, what is he doing this? Is he willing? Is he going to 3-barrel with ace king, ace queen? Because you've got 16 combos of ace king, 16 combos of ace queen. You don't block any hearts or clubs. So I could see him double barreling with ace king of hearts and ace queen of hearts, and then also ace queen of clubs, ace king of clubs. I could see him doing that. I wouldn't necessarily have expected him to do that with ace king offsuit, but that's why we have this here. It's why we have notes, and that's if I would open this up and see bet third barrel on river with air, I would consider, okay, maybe he's doing this again with ace king, and then that just kind of locks me in to call with a 10. Would I have called this much? Yeah, I probably would. I probably would have called the flop in the turn. I would have been thinking overpair, jacks, queens, kings, and aces. You've got 6 combos of aces, kings, and queens, but only 3 combos of jacks. Yeah, only 3 combos of jacks. So you've got 21 combos versus 32 combos of ace king and ace queen. And then as soon as you hit that queen, I don't necessarily think jacks are going to be betting. I think queens are. So I think he played it okay. I don't like his limp again. He should have raised it. What about a raise on the flop? I think this could have been a raise. You've got top pair. You've got a weaker kicker. I also think you could justify calling here. I think possibly raising might be a little bit better if you have ace 10, trips, 2-pair maybe. I don't think you're going to really have a whole lot of 2-pair, but I think that kind of helps balance out your hearts. I think calling here helps to keep other of your top pair as well as some of your draws in the range. I think the turn raise, though, I think becomes an option, because now you can represent, man, you could bet your flush draws, you could do your open enders, your gut shots along with your pairs, 1-pair hands, because again, this board you assume it doesn't connect with him, and if you bet and he raises, I think at that point you give him credit for an overpair, and that's going to allow you to fold it. So what about ace king? Again, I think the bet, flop bet's okay. C bet, I think you're using your overcards here as kind of a bluff. But once you bet and he gets and you get called, you have to give villain credit for at least a pair. And then on the turn doesn't really change the hand. So when you bet and he calls, you kind of have to put him. You have to think about what villain's doing here. That 8 doesn't change. It's not an overcard to his 10. So it's not necessarily a scare card. So when you bet and he calls, you're still keeping in the 1-pair along with the hearts, and then the queen. I think there's better cards to bluff with. You have the ace of hearts. So you block that nut flush draw, which kind of really reduces the number of flush draws that this guy's going to have. So I think it's really getting to, he's got a pair. So I think maybe ace king was a little too aggressive in this hand. So I think we're just going to end here. Sign off, get this posted. I hope you all have a good Labor Day. If you like this hand, look again tomorrow. We will post another hand.